and welcome to episode 50 of Pushing Cardboard. I'm Grant Lindenberg, and I'm glad to have you with me. 50. A nice round number, and it also happens to be our 4th anniversary this month, so it's time to celebrate. I'm happy to say a few publishers have donated birthday presents, so I'll be raffling a few of those off. Stay tuned to the end to hear how you can enter. And right off the top, I want to say thanks to Revolution Games, VUCA Games, and GMT Games for their generosity. I'm happy to present another interview this month. I spoke with Jose Neva of Neva Wargames. His first 2 games are just going to production, and he has plans for many more. Enjoy what may have been my first interview with the publisher from Spain. And not to leave fans of the game dives out, this time I'll be describing Desert Blitzkrieg by Michael Vitale from Compass Games. You all know I'm a sucker for desert games, so I picked this up from pre-order. It's a point-to-point game that starts with Rommel's arrival in the desert. For those following my renovation and flooding saga, we finally get back into the house next month, but not the basement, so not my office. We won't be back there until mid-March. So I'll be improvising in an upstairs room for a few months, and my games will continue to be in storage. The good news, I'll be turning the basement into a larger video and audio recording space, so I won't be tucked into my old small office. I'm hoping it's worth the wait. This episode is sponsored by Cube for Me. They have the best trays, the most versatile trays. Check out my website or newsletter for my link. Use it to order their trays. They'll know I sent you, and not only that, you'll get 5% off your order. They are the best trays, bar none. Okay, on with the show. We'll have some news, some new arrivals, and general historical gaming chatter, and then we'll get on to the 2 features. News. First, Pushing Cardboard note. Live Cardboard number 20 was a few days ago, and it was kind of a happy anniversary show as well. So it was a bit of a ramble about the history of the podcast, the YouTube channel, all things related to Pushing Cardboard. It's available on YouTube. As always, there are links to all this stuff where possible in the episode description as well as the newsletter. We had a good talk and got a few ideas for new things to do going forward. The only other bit of news I have this week is the GMT November newsletter came out. There was only one thing that really grabbed me. There's just 3 things on P500. 2 of them are reprints, so no news there. But the one thing that wasn't a reprint is an expansion that lets you join Triumph and Tragedy with Conquest and Consequence and simulate the whole war all at the same time. I guess for those with a lot of table space and time on their hands. What's on the table? Now, normally at this time of year, I'd be down in San Diego for their HistCon. But I'm not really trusting the situation at the border these days, so this year I decided to stay in Canada and head west to Bottoscon in New Westminster, just outside of Vancouver, BC. If you'd like to see photos, there's a write-up on the website with plenty. This is the convention's 18th iteration. It's the brainchild of Rob Bottos, whom I interviewed a while back. You can check that out. I arrived a day early so as to be able to attend a talk by historian Mark Zelke that Rob had organized. I'm a fan of his books. It was a costly lecture as I ended up buying 4 more of his works. Thursday morning, I started the convention with a game of Amabel Holland's Oblique. My opponent was Sean Moran from Winnipeg, a newbie to the game. We played the spring 1757 scenario, The Culmination of My Sorrows. I was the Austrians, Sean the Prussians. The game started out with each of us searching for a way to cut off supply and outmaneuver the other, but eventually we couldn't resist getting into a large battle. We took huge losses, but survived it, and then clashed again the next turn. Sean lost when I managed to wipe out a complete Prussian force that included Frederick. I like this game more and more each time I play it. I hope Sean did as well. Then I hosted another game, this time 1862, Brothers at War from Compass. My opponent was Dick Boys, and we played Scenario 9, the end half of the Mills Spring Battle. Dick's Bluesbellies were attacking my Rebs and just run out of time. He had to get a unit into the back half of the hill at my end of the map. He managed to get onto the front half, but needed another turn to complete the job. We kept questioning ourselves as to whether we were playing the losses chart correctly, but agreed in the end we thought we had it right. But I'll need another look at the rules to make sure. Fun system anyway, pretty straightforward except as noted. After dinner, I played Richard Berg's Medieval with Rob Bottos, Brian Jarvis, Kendrick Bradley, and Sean Willett. A bit of a Euro-ish history game. It was a lot of fun. I think Rob and Sean tied for first in the end, but I came a respectable second. It has this wonderful mechanic where the Mongols start arriving from the east about halfway through the game, and they completely destroy areas as they go. So much of your hard work can be suddenly wiped out. Really, really fun. Great swings of fortune. Friday morning, I hosted a learning game of VUCA's New Cold War. It had myself as the Russians, Oleg Savelyev as the Europeans, Benjamin Swan as the Americans, and Jeff Kahn as the Chinese. The game mechanics and cards and situations were engaging, but we found ourselves diving into the rule book to settle small questions far too often. There's a really interesting game there, but I think it could use a heftier errata or clarification package. In the afternoon, I had the pleasure of finally meeting designer Brian Train in the flesh. He sat down for a great interview, so you can look for that on the podcast soon. Friday evening, I played Crisis 1914 by Morris Suckling with Jeff Kahn and Nick Drochak. They'd played once before, but it was still fairly new to them. Oh, but what a fantastic game. Tense all the way through. Highly recommended. We played 3-player, but it plays up to 5, and I think we were done in under 2 hours. I didn't have anything else scheduled for that night, but Brian Train was playing his new coin game, Chinese War, and one player couldn't make it, so I got the tap to sit in as the Japanese. Brian played the Communists, Ben played the Nationalists, and Mike Manskoff was the Warlords. Really interesting and fun game. I won as the Japanese, but I can't claim any special skill. I knew from speaking with Brian earlier that the Japanese had to take control of the lines of communication as much as possible, and the other 2 new players didn't realize until too late that the Chinese factions really need to cooperate to keep the powerful Japanese in check. Saturday morning, Brian and I hooked up again to play his excellent Brief Border Wars 2. He says he's not much of a player, but he smoked me in the Teschen scenario. We both had some time to kill, so he showed me a couple of his abstract designs. Guerrilla Checkers was fantastic, super easy to learn and play, but with a brain burn you associate with good abstract games. And I did manage to beat Brian in that one. And then he showed me a similar game, Gravel, though we didn't get to finish that one as I was due to my next appointment. Another brain burner, though. Really cool stuff. My big game for Saturday afternoon was Columbia's Alliance. Grant Dalglish had brought the giant neoprene map, so it just looks stunning on the table. I was a Spaniards, so I wasn't expecting too much. We were playing the 1809 scenario, I think. I made an immediate alliance with England and went to work defending my border. But France was concentrating on the east, so I decided to attack with the help of a couple of British units that did a lot of the heavy lifting. That went well, so Napoleon stormed back across France to deal with me. Giant battle where my dice were otherworldly. Spanish shoots are very weak, so they need to be otherworldly. It got down to the point where he only had his Napoleon block left, an A block. All he had to do was survive my A fire, which was 2 weak A1 artillery units, meaning I had to roll 1s to hit with them. Well, I rolled snake eyes, and Napoleon was dead. The game immediately ends, France loses, and then we count up the VPs to see who wins. And lucky for me, it turned out to be Spain, so a fitting reward for dealing with Bonaparte. Playing with me were the host and GM Bruce McFarlane, Sean Moran, Mark Collette, Wade Smith, Mason, and Sean Neal. Great game, really fun time. Saturday night, I had nothing scheduled, so Sean Moran and I played 2 more scenarios of Brief Border Wars 2, splitting them. I've now played all 4 scenarios, and I recommend the package. You'll play each one in under 2 hours once you've learned the straightforward system. Sunday was departure day, but before I left, I spent the morning watching Mark Woloshin playtest his game on the Battle of the Atlantic in World War II. Convoys versus subs and surface raiders, with an economic component to determine victory. I hope to get a chance to interview Mark down the line. He's also the designer of Prairie of Flame, probably the only war game with my hometown Calgary on the map. And that was it. Great weekend of gaming and meeting people, but it was time to hit the highway home. Only this year it was just a 10-hour drive instead of 24 like it takes me to drive home from San Diego. New games to the collection. Combat Commander Battle Pack 8 Minor Nations. This is just the little small package for anybody who wants to have the complete package, but not buy the new all-in-one deluxe package that GMT has come out with. This is the only thing that you don't have, and really it's just a set of counters for the minor nations, and then I think 8 or 12 scenarios from the Mediterranean box that use the old substitute counters, and now they're redone with the proper nationalities. There's no new board, no new scenarios, just counters. But I'm glad to have it. It saved me from splashing out to buy the new package, which looks great, no doubt about it. I also received C3I issue 38, featuring the game Korea, the fight across the 38th, and a couple other games. It's a bittersweet one, as this is the last issue that Roger McGowan worked on before he passed away, but I'm glad to have it. While I was at Bottoscon, they're really supported really well by by gaming companies. They had, I think they had over 50 door prizes to give away, and I was lucky enough to win the Lost Provinces from Hollandspiel, so I really look forward to that. I also received my latest issue of Victus magazine with the game Bohemia 1866. And then, just because I'm such a big fan of him, I was over at my friendly local game store and saw World War II Commander Volume 2 Market Garden on the shelf, and I grabbed it. Very happy to have that. So, yeah, five new things. Not an overabundance as I sometimes have. This episode is also sponsored by Noble Knight Games. If there's an out-of-print game you're looking for, they're your best chance. If you're looking for used games to avoid the new and shrink price, they've got thousands. And if you're looking to sell games, they're your best choice as well. Check out the link in the show notes or the newsletter or on the website and use it to get to their store. That way they'll know I sent you, I'll get a little kickback, I'll spend it on games, I'll tell you about them, then you'll head back to buy more games. It's a virtuous circle. Okay, first game, Desert Blitzkrieg. Desert Blitzkrieg is the latest North Africa game from Compass. It's designed by Michael Vitale, whose name I didn't recognize, but it turns out he was one of the designers of Shootout at the Saloon, an Old West game based on the Ace of Aces booklet model. I love that game. We played the heck out of it when I was in college. Well, Desert Blitzkrieg is nothing like that. It's more of a hex and counters war game. Well, point to point, so no hexes, but you get what I mean. The game starts when Rommel arrives in April 41 and runs until the end of 42. Turns are 1 month each. The map is wide, as you may be used to with North Africa games, but there's a good number of points down below the highway. Stay on the highway to move quickly, but there's plenty of room to move across the desert in those lower points. Each side has a couple of long-range recon units that let you go even farther without worrying about your supply line. The game doesn't state the unit size in the rulebook, but it appears to be divisions broken into constituent parts. For example, for the German 90th Division, there's an armor unit, an infantry unit, a recon unit, and an artillery unit. For some of the Italian non-motorized divisions, there may be just an infantry unit and an artillery unit. The units are two-sided, with the front being full strength and the back the damage side, so sort of a two-step, but there's generally not a reduction in strength on the damage side. The counters have NATO symbols to indicate unit type, with very few ratings: the unit ID, its parent ID, its combat strength, and a color-coded triangle to help you see the related units very quickly. If the combat strength is printed on a circle, the unit gets a bonus versus armor, and that's it. Very clean. If you'd like a look at the map and counters, I did an unboxing video. Check that out. You can find it on YouTube, or you probably find a link. YouTube. Go there. The board has a nice turn track across the top of the map with pictures of the units that enter on each turn, which is fantastic, just the way I love it. But what was not fantastic is the setup. The units that start on board have a 2-letter abbreviation on the counters for where they start, and there's a key for those abbreviations in the rulebook. However, there's no master list of who goes where, so you'd never know if you were missing a counter. Also, there's a handful of extra counters that are only used in the 2 non-campaign game scenarios, so you'll need to put those aside as their abbreviations will confuse you, if you're like me. The only other main components are the deck of cards. They're a cool part of the game, but not a big part. Each turn, each player can decide if they want to draw a card, but they can only draw 6 times in a 21-turn game, so you're not looking at game changers here. Each card gives you a small effect, maybe a little extra supply or replacements, maybe a +1 to a die roll, but the card must be used on the turn it's drawn. You can't hoard them and wait for the perfect spot. The stacking rules here are interesting, and this is where the divisional integrity comes into play. Any 2 divisions and 1 more unit can stack together, or any 1 division and 2 other units can stack together. If you have no divisional integrity, a maximum of 5 units can stack together. This is important as stacking limits apply at the end of the movement phase, but also in the combat phase, so this limits how many units you'll be able to attack with and defend with in any one space. Okay, this is probably a good time to mention the sequence of play. Each turn, the Axis goes first, does the complete sequence, then the Allies. There's an optional card draw at the start of the turn, as I described earlier, and then it's the placement of reinforcements from the turn track and replacements from the eliminated unit box. There's more on that later. There's also some withdrawals, for example, when the Australians leave, though there is some flexibility here. The Allied player can keep units that are supposed to withdraw by giving up some VPs, so that's a nice touch. And there's a few units that get to roll for upgrading according to the turn track as well. Then it's time to determine how much supply you get and place it on your depot at the edge of the board or on Tobruk. And then movement. And then combat with supply being paid for each attack. Then there's a shorter second movement phase just for motorized units, a sort of exploitation phase where they get a little bit of limited combat. And then finally at the end, you check for supply once again. All units can move the same distance in the movement phase, 5 spaces along a road, 3 spaces otherwise. After the combat phase, where the motorized movement phase comes, where motorized and armored units can move, it's just a little bit more. It's not a full movement phase, and it's not a full combat phase either. New units coming onto the board enter at the far west for the Axis or far east for the Allies. The Allies can also land a limited number of units in Tobruk and Bardia. Mostly these will be reinforcements from the turn track, but the game also has this curious replacement system. There's no replacement points as in many games, and damaged units can never be repaired. Instead, eliminated units first go into a special box at the edge of the map board. Once you have a certain number of dead units, you'll be able to bring back a certain amount by also forever eliminating others. For example, the Germans in the first half of the game, they can bring back 2 units and eliminate 1, meaning for every 3 units in the box, they can bring back 2 and kill 1 forever. And then in the second half of the game, they can only bring back 1 and have to eliminate 2. The Italians get 1 of every 2 motorized units and 2 of every 3 non-motorized. The British get 2 of 3 for the entire game, but the Commonwealth allies get 3 of 5. So it's all nationality dependent. I have to say this struck me a bit odd, as famous units end up in the box and then they're rebuilt and then they have to enter way at the edge of the map and move forward towards the action. Not being able to just repair them or add replacements at the front felt weird. But I guess I decided to think of this more as an abstraction of replacements coming for the unit that was still near the front line. So it's not actually the unit, it's the replacements that are coming forward. At least that's the way it worked it out in my mind. This being the desert, supply plays a major role. You can't initiate an attack without spending supply, and that supply must be near you. Each side begins with a handful of supply and get at least 1 more each turn. The supply units move like motorized units and can zip along the roads 5 spaces at a time. The wrinkle is, you also have to maintain a chain of supply. You need to supply every second hex across the desert or every third hex along the highway to link you to a supply depot. For the Axis, that's El Agela in the west edge, and for the Allies, that's El Alamein on the east edge, or Tobruk while they still have it. As I said, each side gets 1 new supply unit each turn and a roll for possible more. The Allies get 2 rolls each turn, the Allies get 1 roll. Each side also has an HQ unit that has to decide how it will use its power each turn. It can be used as a bonus for attacking or a bonus for defending, or for a chance to roll for 1 more supply. And as long as Rommel is the Axis HQ, they'll get to roll for 2 extra with a bonus dice roll modifier on each roll. Rommel can really help get the Axis supply going, and they're really going to need it as they get stretched out across the map past Tobruk. If they manage to take Tobruk rather than bypass it, they can start using it as their supply depot, which is a huge advantage. Units that are out of supply can move, but at a reduced rate, and cannot attack. Okay, that brings us to combat. To initiate a battle, you'll have moved units into a defending hex. Stacking limits must still be observed, so you can't overload a hex. The game uses a battle board. Put a marker in the battle space on the map and move the attacking and defending units to the battle board. The player with the fewer pieces sets up first, dividing their units between the front line and the second line. Then the player with the most pieces sets up second. Then the defender arranges their frontline pieces across from the attacker's front line to show which is attacking which. Every piece on the attacker's front line must be attacked. If the defender has more pieces in the front line than the attacker, not likely, but if they do, the defender can then double up some of the defenders on the attackers. The defender also indicates which pieces in its second line will attack which attackers. Second line units can attack whoever they like, but all matchups must be declared before any dice are rolled. Artillery in the second line get a +1 bonus, whereas armor, recon, and infantry units in the second line suffer a -1 penalty. The defender will roll all their attacks first, and then the attacker will have to take any losses before responding. The actual mechanic for the combat rolls is simple. Each unit has a combat value. Armored units generally have a 3 or 4. Infantry can be anywhere from 0 to 4, artillery 1 to 4. As well, many units have a symbol indicating they get a +1 when attacking armored or recon units. And a very few units have a symbol indicating that they're hard to damage, and so a -1 to hit. There's also a few modifiers, such as if the attacker had to cross good defensive terrain or whether the headquarters is providing a +1 or -1 bonus. And each side may have air power in the battle, providing similar modifiers. And then just roll the die time. These are 10-sided dice, with 0 being 0 rather than 10. You need to roll your modified combat value or less to score a hit on your target. The first hit flips the target to its damage side. A second hit eliminates it. After the defender has rolled for all their attacking units, the attacker arranges their surviving units against the defender and rolls using the same procedure. After that first round of combat, if both sides still have units remaining, the defender decides whether to withdraw or stand. If they stand, they can bring in reinforcements from adjacent spaces, but stacking limits still apply. When you only have units of varying divisions, you're going to end up with only 5 units allowed. If the defender stays, the attacker must undergo the second combat round. If the attacker survives the defender's second battle round, then the attacker can stay and continue the attack and bring in reinforcements just like the defender, or withdraw. And that's basically it for mechanics. Victory is based on points, and they're accumulated throughout the game, not just at the end. You get a VP each time you win a battle. Each eliminated unit is worth a variable number of VPs, with most being 2 or 3, but German armored units are worth 5, so they're very valuable. As well, at the end of each turn, you check for who has control of each of 5 victory locations spread across the board. Each side will score points for the ones it controls, but the points aren't the same for both of them. For example, the Allies only get a single point for controlling their easternmost point, El Alamein, but if the Axis control it, they're going to get 3 points for that turn. There's also a 15-point bonus for the Allies if the Axis never manage to attack El Alamein. If the Axis do make the attack, they get a 5 victory point bonus regardless of whether or not they win the battle. So the onus is on the Axis for the attack. But I have to say, this is an excellent use of victory conditions, as it encourages both sides to be on the attack as much as possible. There's no incentive to sit back and stockpile troops or to turtle into a defensive line. The front line may well swing back and forth across the map as it did historically. Given the Germans start with a fair amount of supply for the first few turns, but then have much less through the middle of the game, and then a reasonable amount in the last third of the game, you can see how that's going to impact its offensives. As well, the reinforcements chart will dictate some swings in fortune as well. The El Alamein victory points are large, but not large enough for the British to just sit back and defend. They're going to need to push whenever possible as well. There's bits of chrome for capturing supply or capturing headquarters. There's optional rules with noted effects on balance, so they can be used to shore up one side or the other. There's rules for selected recon units being able to operate out of supply, mimicking the long-range desert force, as well as a cool rule for armor units to be able to skip over enemy spaces at the cost of extra movement points, with the penalty of having to take some fire. So sometimes it's worth it to try to cut them off. And finally, there's a shorter scenario that can be played in an evening rather than the campaign game, and a small training scenario. In his design notes, Michael Vitale says his aim was to design a game that was a step up from intro games, but still easy enough for a newer gamer to understand. This is by no means a difficult game to learn or understand, but I don't think it would be a game I'd suggest a newbie cut their teeth on. That said, I think it fits perfectly in that pocket that balances history with gameplay. My only real quibbles were with the battle board and some of the battle mechanics. I'm not sure that tactically acting out the battles with front line and second line adds a ton to the game. I guess it's fun, but it did feel weird that with 1 month turns, after a single round of combat, you could reinforce your side from an adjacent space. It just didn't seem to fit right with the time frame for me. But other than that, those are small things. It was still fun to play, and I'm definitely going to play it again. So hats off to Michael Vitale and Compass for this one. If you spend time online, you've probably seen ads for a new company, Neva Wargames. They're great at letting folks know what they're up to. Well, it's not a they, it's a he. And that he is Jose Neva, founder of this new publisher in Spain. I spoke to him a few weeks ago as their first 2 games became available to pre-order. Here's our conversation. Hello, fellow pushers. I'm happy to be here today with Jose Neva of Neva Wargames. How are you, Jose?
Hello, I'm very pleased to be here with you, Grant. It's one
Uh,
of my interviews in English. I think this is the first one, so I'm very excited.
well, good. I think you're the first person from Spain that I've interviewed. Although I have had some foreign language interviews from other parts of Europe, so I'm getting used to it.
Nice, nice.
I'm talking to you today because you started up a new wargame company, Neva Wargames. Uh, uh, that's well. Let's just talk for a second about. It seems like the wargaming scene is very vibrant in Spain. There's like Draco, Bellica 3G. I'm sure there's other ones. It seems to be like there's a lot of wargaming going on, or what's the deal in Spain?
Yeah, actually, we have a very beautiful community, wargaming community, and even if it's a niche for the board games, we still have many wargame clubs and wargaming conventions through from north to south Spain, such Bellotacon, Pax Lúdica in Cádiz. Bellotacon was in Badajoz. In Madrid, bueno, Alcalá de Henares, we have Basal Forever, Batalladores in Zaragoza, many more than that. They are appearing many, many more new ones. So for me, that's an indicator that something's going on, that we are growing, maybe little by little, but it's a good sign for me. So
Yeah, yeah, and so we're seeing games come out of Spain and make their way across the ocean to over here in North America. So it's Spain is putting its mark on the wargaming world for sure. Well, how long have you been a wargamer? What's your history with wargaming?
I mean, for wargaming, it has been a recent because I've always played board games like Euro games
Hmm.
mostly. And during the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, I started to be interested on war games, starting to play solitary games. And after the pandemic, I started to play multiplayers in war gaming. I joined some clubs nearby for a while to play with other people. So I've started to feel more comfortable playing the war games because I like history. History I read a lot of history books.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think the reading history books and playing war games. I don't think there's many people that those two things don't go together. Nobody plays war games and is not interested in history.
that's totally correct. Yeah. So that's why I never played Euro games again. So since ever, I just play war games. Oh, now what I do is play testing, play testing, play. But when I have time, I play other games for sure. But
What were a couple of the first war games you played that caught your eye that made you go, maybe this is for you?
when I started, since I started with solitary games, some from Decision Games, Omaha Beach was one of my
Yes.
first. Because
John Butterfield.
John Butterfield's,
Yeah.
I really like his job, and with enemy action, I have both too.
Right. Yeah. Me
So
too.
I'm really a big fan of him. Yes.
I got to interview him about a year and a half ago, and I don't think I've ever met a kinder, nicer person. So it's like he's a
Mhm.
genius designer and a beautiful guy as well.
Yeah.
Well, those are great, especially if you got into the enemy action ones. Then once the pandemic was over, you could also play those two player and
Mhm.
as well. I mean, that's part of the John Butterfield genius is games that are solo and two player and solo both ways as well. You can solo
Correct.
either side of those games, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a good opportunity to have a game that you can play like two players and have the opportunity to play also in the solitary mode with both sides. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So, okay, so you started playing. In the pandemic, you start playing solo war games. Then the pandemic ends. You join a war game club. You don't play Euros anymore. You're starting to play just war games. But then that's a pretty common story. but then you decide you're going to become a designer. Did you decide
Yeah.
designer and publisher at the same time, or did
No,
did
no,
you start designing first and then did the
I,
publishing thing?
I started designing like I challenged myself to say like I think I can do this. Like I would like to create something by my own rules. Like I'm a very creative person, so and I need to do I need to be learning something new or doing new stuff every time. So I started to do like a card game for a BGG 18 card contest.
Oh
The
yes,
game
yes.
was Tachmento. The name was in Esperanto language.
Right.
And it was about moving within a formation about the Tercios soldiers army, but it was a newer game because I wanted to try something easier. It's a puzzle game, not a war game, and it ended up well. I like the process. It got published by a Spanish publisher, the game, so I felt comfortable to start doing more difficult projects, like starting to do war games, and I'm doing pretty good. Like I have a few projects going on, and I'm enjoying every part of the process.
Well, we'll later on in our chat we'll talk about some of those designs that are in different stages of development. But so so BGG has a war game or a game design contest. You decide to do that. It goes well, so you decide to design. But then it's another big jump to decide that you're going to publish your own games. Did you try to? Well, you say that your entry to that was published by a publisher, so that worked out. Why did you decide to become a publisher yourself rather than keep trying to place your designs with other established publishers?
Yeah, well, it's in the same line as I became designer. I want to challenge myself to do one step forward more and say I'm able to do like publish my own games, like because I like everything. I like to have the control of everything I do. So sometimes when you work for another publishing company, they are doing the investment. I understand you have to follow their final decision because they're trusting you, investing in you, and you have to trust them also. But I have very clear in my mind what I wanted for each of my games, and that motivated me to try.
Well, I mean, it's good for all of us that you're giving it a try. I talked to there's a new game company out of England called Forum Square. He's doing Andy. He's doing he's doing all Napoleonic games. But same thing with him. He decided to design a game and then decided, I'm just going to publish it myself. And now he's got like 4 or 5 games out there, all published. So I guess it's doable. It seems like a big leap of faith.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and you have to effort every single day to find because something I didn't mention that I have my own uh, job for my main job. It's I'm building engineer, and I do this secondary activity as a business for basically for fun because it's like an extension of my hobby. Like I'm learning new
Right.
things, doing new things. I'm glad with that.
Yeah, I would imagine also because we'll talk about them in a bit. But I looked at all the games you've got in development, and you're not the only designer. It must feel good to also say to friends and fellow designers you found, like, hey, maybe I'll publish your game. It must feel good to give a hand up that way too
Yeah,
to other starting designers.
that's correct. Because as a game designer, if you notice, most of the game designers that we have working with them right now, they are new. They haven't designed anything yet. Some of them, and giving the opportunity to start publishing a game, it's like I feel like myself when I started looking for a publisher. So it's always a good feeling when you tell them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
I totally get it. That would I've never thought about publishing, but that would be that would be the thing that would make me want to do it. It would be the kind of bringing together a group of people and making things come true. That sounds great. The thing about so your company, it's called Neva Wargames. So you're specifically doing war games or history themed games. But the other part of your the slogan, I can't remember the exact slogan, but you talk about a smaller footprint. And I've seen the boxes for your games are like maybe 2/3 the size of like an old Avalon Hill box, right? You're putting things in smaller packages. I recently I changed from adjustable shelving that could go on forever to I'm getting like a set amount of shelves in my house. So I've started to really appreciate people who don't waste space on my shelves.
Yeah, it's the reason is I have several reasons for doing that, and we mentioned something before that's totally right. Like our gamer, you like reading, and that book size format for the boxes are really nice. You put them in the shelf and they look awesome. And secondly, like I was wondering about the shelf space. Like I see at my shelf, I don't want to buy another shelf. Like it's time to every time I want to buy a new one, I have to say goodbye to other game previously. So I wonder if I can put like a normal, a regular game, war game inside a smaller box, and it's doable. And the feeling when you play, it's like oh, I'm playing something very interesting. I'm not losing playability or anything. So. It's doable, and I think people will like the format when they have the games on their hands. They will really see what's going on with our brand.
Yeah, so most of your games talk about being playable anywhere from sort of like an hour to 2 hours. So that you don't there's not going to be any monster long games, but a game that lasts 90 minutes or 2 hours is like there's plenty of time for plenty of decisions, even a game that's an hour.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're probably going with paper maps, or are you mounting your maps?
No, we are mounting the map. Yeah,
how big will they be then once they're folded out? I
I
guess
mean,
it depends how many panels, right?
yeah, exactly. We have three product lines. The skirmish, which is the smallest one. The front line, it's a regular, and the big one, the biggest is the Marshall. And depending of the game and the product line, the size of the map and the amount of components is going to vary. It's going to be different. But the map, it's I mean, it's in centimeters, about 44 centimeters per 60 centimeters in average. Maybe it's smaller, like our Iwajima is the smallest one, and we have a bigger one that it's slightly longer with 75 centimeters long. But in overall, that's the size that we are working with.
Yeah, that's okay. That's perfectly good size. And you answered a question I was going to ask you. I didn't understand the difference between the three product lines. I knew the skirmish and the front line. I don't think I'd seen mention of the other one, but so they're basically size differentiations: a small game, a medium-sized game, and a larger game.
Exactly, the concept. I mean, the boxes are the same. The only thing that will be changing is the thickness. So to be able to have more content inside or bigger maps, we need to increase the thickness. So
Right.
that's why we came up with three product lines.
Right. So yeah, so the depth of the box is a shallow one, a medium one, and then a thick one, so you can fit the bigger maps in. Well, before we start talking about games, the other thing that you've started with your company is your P300 system, which is sort of a modified version of the P500 system from GMT, or it's kind of like a cross between that and a Kickstarter. Can you tell us how your P300 works?
Yeah, that's correct. I have some inspiration for several sources, but the P300 program it's an indicator of community interest in each listed game. So users are required to log in or create an account, and they can add to their wish list their favorite titles. So that shows me the interest of the community when I have to decide which next game will be on pre-order. I will take that into consideration to make up my final decision.
Right. So if somebody says somebody decides to back a certain game on P300, they're not actually putting the money up right away.
No, that's correct. That's very important because users they don't have to pay anything or commit to anything. They just add the game to their wish list, and when we release for pre-order, they can decide whether to buy or not. But they are not obligated to if they wish list this before.
Right. So yeah. So it's not like Kickstarter where you have to put the money up front, but you do put once you decide to go to that you're going to actually do it and put it on pre-order, then they put the money up. So it's not as late as a P500. It's sort of in the middle there, where you
Correct.
once it's going to be once you've decided to do it, then it's like okay, pay up and we'll print this thing.
That's correct.
That sounds good. Well, so you move them from this from the P300, and then you move them on to what you call pre-order, and you've got two games there that are in pre-order right now. If people go to your website, they can order either of the. It's just nevawargames.com, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, everybody should go there, have a look. You've got two games that you haven't got any out published yet, right? This is the first two that are coming.
Exactly. These are the first two that they are expected to arrive just before Christmas. So
Perfect.
and we did a limited print round because I wanted to make sure that it's the first time I'm doing this. So I prefer to do it in a correct way. So the print round is short. So if you want to pre-order, you can go and grab your copy. There is time for doing so. And also, I'd like to do pre-orders of two games each time because it's easier for us to prepare two games and organize everything, and people can choose whether they can buy one of them or both, so they can choose.
When you say we, are there more people than you involved in Neva Wargames?
And that's interesting because it's myself. So sometimes I say me or I, but sometimes I like to talk to we because I have a lot of people that I say hello to them from here because they support me in every way, and really appreciate that effort that they do since they spend time, their free time to help me.
Right. So it's a one-man company, but you draw on a little bit of support from a few other people, probably including designers and playtesters.
Correct.
All right. Well, let's get right into the nitty-gritty, the thing that people really like. Let's talk about the first two games that are on pre-order. The first one, lots of people have probably seen this because you have a great online presence. You're very active on the social media. Iwo Jima, Hell on Earth, a solitaire game. Was this your very first design? This one is designed by you, right?
Yeah, I designed this one, and I have other designs that are about to be released, but this is one of my first designs too. And it's I wanted to do something small, solitary about the Pacific, and while working with some project ideas, I came up with this system for the solitary, where you use the US unit not only as a strength force, but also with combat support. And it's very interesting the way you try to use one or the other or combine them to have the best strategy against the Japanese forces.
Right. Yeah. So I had a look at it on your website, of course, and Yeah, so you have a choice whether a unit is actually used as a unit or as a support for another
Mhm.
unit,
Correct.
and so it seems to me it's going to be about managing that balance of how much stuff you use as supports and how much stuff you actually use as units.
Correct.
Where you it's not the same system as John Butterfield's island systems, but I got to think if you were a big fan of those games, that must have been somewhere in the back of your mind.
Yeah, correct. I mean, there is a lot of solitary games where I collected good inspiration for sure, but I will always try to um, offer something fresh, no, that like a twist or something of my own to provide something interesting for the wargaming community. And I think this system, this solitary system, came up in a pretty nice way, and some playtesters, they are asking me if they will have like other titles in the future for
Oh, right,
other
other
islands. So
campaigns, right? Yeah,
we'll
yeah, yeah.
see, we'll see. Probably,
Oh,
but
yeah,
let's
yeah,
see.
yeah. Well, that's great. That's given the fact that your wargaming journey as a player started with solitaire games. It makes sense that your first design was a solitaire game. The other one that's up for pre-order is a one or two player game, Sea and Steel: Columbus's Voyages. Is that your design as well, or is that somebody else's
No,
design?
this is Antonio Vaquera. He designed a game with a similar system, not the same 100% with Bonsai Games, about mil 1898, the end of the Cuba and
Ah,
all the last colonies for Spain.
right.
And it ended up being a beginner game, but also the experienced were gamers. They also find it attractive because the strategy in the movement, what it shines in this design, it's the way you have to think how to do the right movement each time to get the all the conquest of all the islands. So Antonio did a great job with this title. We improved the system together, and it's a game that you can play also with family, people that are starting to play word games. It's a beginner difficulty, so it's I wanted to have something like that. Like most of our games probably will be intermediate difficulty level, some of them advanced, but I want to have some of them beginner too, because I think it's very important to call the attention to other gamers, no, from Euro games, and maybe they will start playing war games. So we have to
Right.
have.
And Sea and Steel is it's whereas Iwo Jima is just straight ahead of war game. You can think of Sea and Steel as more of a history game than a straight war game, and that brings in people that don't otherwise play in our genre. People who are interested in history, but not so much, shooting and kinetic warfare.
Yeah, correct. I think it can be attractive for both.
Yeah.
So that's what it makes interesting to have in the catalog some title like this one.
It says one or two players. Was it designed as a two-player and then a solo system put on, or was it designed as a solo system and then the two-player put on?
It was a two-player game, and later the one-player was developed, and it's working right way, like very well, because it's using like a Nitaino. It's the name that we call the bot. It's uh, it's for the
The, the,
all the
the
Caribs and the indigenous people,
yeah.
and you play as the Spanish against them, and you need to conquer the Caribbean islands.
No, that sounds great. I'm always everybody wants to have a one-player option in their games these days, but I'm always careful to buy games that they were designed as two-player and then the one-player added on. I've had bad experiences with games where it turns out they were designed as a solo game and then they added on a possibility to play two players, but the second player is just sometimes just no fun to play because they have no decisions. So that's why I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, knowing that I mentioned that I am a solo war gamer too. So if I see that a game, the solitary mode, it's not of my taste, it's not worth it, I won't add it to the box only for a commercial, like saying, oh, it's also have a solitary. No, because it's not worth it. We can publish it in our download or resources section, like a variant or an additional solitary, but not like in the main box. And also for the two players, if you have a solitary game, some people for Iwo Jima they mention, can you do it playable for two players? I try, but it wasn't worth it because I was spending a lot of time, and if you see the Japanese side, it's very static and it was boring. So why? It's not necessary to do.
Yeah, I think it's more important commercially to add solo onto a two-player than to add two-player onto a solo. I think you're not going to lose any sales. I mean, some people may be asking for it, but that's going to be very much a minority, I think. So you've got these two. So those are the two games that are currently on pre-order, but you have a list of like 10 or 12 other ones that are on various stages of development. I like on your website that you give a percentage for how far each one's along.
It also helped me out to see in an overall. So I share with the community that they can see more or less the status of the work. It depends on many factors, no? Maybe I as a as the publisher, I'm busy working on another project. I have less time it's impossible to dedicate time to all of them. I try to, and also the game designer, depending on the speed, the free time they have to work on their own projects, it's important to notice that.
Because pretty much all these designers, I'm sure, are like most of us in the hobby. We do these things as a hobby, we have a day job. We have something that takes up all our time. Well, I'm going to ask you about a few of them and just get you to tell me a little bit about some of these games and where they're at and how many players. Let's start with these are in no particular order. They're just like ones that hit my eye. So the first one was Spartacus: Rome Under Threat. Who's the designer there?
I'm the designer of that one too. Right. Spartacus.
Yeah. So is that a one or a two-player game? Or
it's both? Both. It's both. I designed it to two-player mode, but when I design, I always keep in mind that I would like to include the solitary mode.
Yeah.
So it's being play tested right now, the solo mode. The two-player mode, it's basically almost 100% finished. We are also doing the final testing. And the solo mode, it's apparently working fine. Obviously, I will need to do some minor tweaks and fixed. But I think during 2026, next year, we will be able to release it if everything goes well.
It'll likely be one of the next pre-orders. Then is it? How long ago is it in the skirmish series? How long a game is this one?
No, this is a frontline. It's
Frontlines, the medium. Okay, yeah. So it's like a 90-minute game. Is that what we're talking about?
It's 2 hours, less than 3 hours.
Good. Well, right in my happy zone. That's good. Okay, well, what about this one? I saw the playtest map for this one. It Vols 1809 Battle of the Goy Bridge. The map and the pieces here remind me of a Morris Suckling game, Freeman's Farm. like, is that where the inspiration for that came from, or is it just
I mean,
an accident?
the game designer has like has many sources of inspiration, and probably one of them is that one too. But it's a much simple game. It's an introductory game with very interesting options. And the good thing is that the development it's in final stage. We are doing minor proofreading of the rules, and the graphic designer, which is Niels Johansson,
Oh, he's
will be
fantastic.
finishing it in the next month. So I will expect this one for the next pre-order wave, I think.
Oh yeah. If anybody hasn't played Freeman's Farm or Chancellorsville's or some of those more recycling games, the thing that's interesting is it's not an area map. It's not a point to. It's sort of a point to point map, but units can only basically move forward or back, or sometimes just forward or forward. That's
In this case, only forward. There is
yeah,
no
only
way.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in some of his games as well, and it's interesting because he's in a game like this, you're saying, yeah, this isn't all about maneuver. This is about pushing where and when. But you're not going to move a bunch of hexes around a corner and try and
Exactly.
flank or
That's the
anything.
key. Where and when. It's the key of this type of games.
Yeah, well, that's cool. It was. I like Morris's games, and the other thing that I know it's not the same thing, but I love those long sort of wooden sticks or plastic sticks, whichever you use. There's something about them that look like old military maps with the frontages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, let's. I'll ask you about this one. Crete, Death from the Sky. This one is fairly early days.
Yeah, that's a new game designer because last Christmas I created like a prototype contest.
Oh, nice.
This game was the winner, and it was added to the P300. During the following months, we will start doing the initial play testing. So we still have a lot of things to do with this game. It's an introductory area map for Crete, a very interesting approach, something different. So
I love area maps, so that's good.
We will try for 2027 probably.
That's I think there's a lot of people interested in that subject. So it's there's a couple of games out there on it, but not a ton. So there's room for another one for sure.
That's correct. Yes.
All right. How about 1806, the Elbe campaign?
Well, that's that game we released it recently too, not long ago, and from the very beginning we launched that one in Madrid in one Wargaming convention, and from the very first time a lot of people was around checking, and all of them felt very interested about this game. You have a lot of strategic decisions with including fog of war for the leaders, and we're working fine. Like play testing, it's going on right now, and if everything goes well, it's expected for 2026 for next year too.
Nice. Is that a hex map or a point to point map?
It's a point to point map.
Right. Yeah. Great.
And this one is a skirmish with a small map, so it's very very compact.
Right. Yeah. All good. That sounds great. That's well known territory. This next one, Peking 55 Days of Fury, which is a game on part of the Boxer Rebellion. You don't see many games on this subject.
No, that's correct. That's another one of my designs.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's this is a siege game. I have a system for siege games, which where you can choose. You have 4 areas the map only has 4 areas. You have around other tracks where you have to track different things. You need to be looking where to locate your units to have the maximum power and strength there to fight, and different victory conditions. So it's very very important to play well your cards. A card game,
Oh,
and
cards.
yeah, but it's more as you need to manage your cards in a proper way, because there is a phase where you have to combine them properly, to combine the cards to be to have the best strategy as possible. But secondly, in another game phase, you have an action phase where you can use the rest of your cards that you didn't use during the event phase for action points. So you can leverage, if you don't have good events, to play them as action points later.
Oh, right. So yeah, so there's a big part of the strategy of the game then is which way you use the card.
Correct. And it also has like a focus war system where you have cards with enemy events, and you need to decide during the command phase whether, if you keep that card with you, it will be like having a blank card, useless, or providing it to your enemy. You
Uh,
will have a benefit from that, but he will be able to use a very powerful event later on. So
right.
it's
What drew
very
you?
interesting.
What drew you to the Boxer Rebellion? What made you interested in this siege? I guess siege of
For the
Peking.
movie, the classical movie, the same happened to me like Spartacus. I thought of the movie and I have to do a game about this.
Oh yeah, so you're very influenced by not just books but movies as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
Uh, okay, I just have two more, and then I'll let you talk about any others that I miss here. But and I'll butcher this pronunciation, but Apuliaris, Rebellion and Punishment. This is another point-to-point
Ye-
map game.
Yes, that's another point-to-point game. It's a card-driven game, and it's in a and in the end of the development, I'd say we were thinking of adding a solitary system. It's been tested right now, but we are not 100% sure that we are going to release that one for a solo mode. So you can expect that one by the end of next year, the beginning of the following.
Right. Don't be surprised if it ends up just being just a two-player game, which is totally fine with me.
Yeah,
I love playing two-player games solo anyway. Like I'm more likely to play that than a dedicated solo game.
yeah. I
Too
prefer.
too too many years as a boy with no one to play with taught me how to play games to both sides.
Yeah, you have to find a way. That's for sure.
That's right. Yeah. Well, the last one I wanted to ask about was Yarama, the Battle for Madrid. This is a Spanish Civil War game, which I've only got, I think, maybe 2 games on the Spanish Civil War, but I'm always looking for another one. So tell me about this game. Is this your design or someone else's?
No, it's a colleague. He lives nearby, and it's from Jesus Perez. He's designing a hex and counter game, and he's going slow, but not because he want to make a solid system. I have a good basement. No, I have the core of the system. He wants to make a huge step in having a very powerful core, because the idea is to make more battles of Civil War using that system in the future.
Yeah.
So we don't mind to go a little bit slower with that. The important is to have a quality final product.
Right. So you want to start a system, try and birth a system.
Mhm.
One of the only other games on the Spanish Civil War I have is actually a Battle for Madrid game as well, from the Battles magazine from a few years ago.
Mhm.
So maybe it might have actually been the last game, from the last issue, the very final issue before they disappeared. But that was a good game. That's a area
Area,
impulse game.
Area Impulse game. I have it too.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of area impulse games. Well, those are all the ones I jotted down. Are there any others that you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
No, well, basically, you're covered the most important. If I check to recall for next year, you can expect also Kursk
Oh,
meets
right.
Strauss Offensive. That is a classical hexen encounter game.
And that's by Perry Moore.
Yeah, that's correct. So we
So
are working
you're
on
getting
the
a traditional hex encounter guy to
yeah,
to
yeah.
design
I
that game.
wanted
Yeah.
to have something classical too because I do enjoy them too, and we are working on the rule books to having everything under control before releasing it. But maybe by mid of next year or end of next year, we will be able to open the pre-orders.
Given that you're a Spanish publisher, and so obviously Spanish your first language, what's the challenge like to make sure that you have a Spanish and English version of the rules, that the English version, that the translation is as good and tight as the Spanish version of the rules?
Actually, we work with the English version first, and
Uh,
I have a very nice person, which is James Buckley,
oh, he's great.
support
Yeah.
team, and he's supporting me with each game. He also helped me with development and improving the rule book. So I feel pretty confident that we are doing a great job of having uh, well-written rules. And when we have the rules written and checked by him, we have a Spanish translator that he translates everything into Spanish. And since we control the Spanish, so it's easier for us. The important thing is we focus from the very beginning in English, and once the English is all set up, we move to Spanish.
That makes sense given that if everything's going to be a success, the majority of your the majority of your audience will be English speaking.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, James is great. He's been involved with some great games and good publishers. So I think you've got someone good on hand there.
I'm very happy with him on the team.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about everything I wanted to ask you about, but was there anything else you wanted to get out there for people to know about the company or about what you're doing?
Yeah, basically, like little by little, the community will understand our philosophy as a brand. They will see our first releases, and I want to invite everyone that is interested on being part of the Neva Wargames team. If they want to play test or proofread our rule books, to that will help us a lot to to be able to release a new games sooner and faster. So we have a Discord channel server where they can join and participate. Of course, I try to compensate and have discount coupons for everyone that is involved on the project, so they can grab the copy of the game they participated at a good discount.
Well, that's great. I'll put maybe we'll put a link to your Discord server and to your website in the show notes for the podcast, and then everybody can get to you more
Thank
easily.
you very much.
The first two games they're just about ready. They're going to come out by Christmas. We'll be able to order them and be able to give them as gifts at Christmas.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as soon as because I'm sending the games from China to our two main fulfillment centers. One is each in Europe, here in Spain, and the other is in Florida, in the United States. So as soon as we receive the game, we will start shipping to customers. And if we still have remaining stock copies, that as I mentioned, the copies are very limited. So maybe we will have a few of them, but no, I'm not sure that we will have a lot of stock for long. So if the people wants to pre-order, we are trying to do as much as we can to be able to ship them to customer before Christmas.
Nice. I'm in Canada, so will my games come from Florida or from Europe?
From Florida, probably.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to know. Well, thanks for talking to me today, Jose. It's been great to hear about your new company. I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you very much for inviting, and I hope and I wish I will be back here with you soon.
Yeah, once the games are out, I'm sure we'll have to have a look at one of the games on the podcast as well, and explore that. So, thanks again.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
If you go to their website, you'll see all the different projects they have on the go. And I'm pretty sure they take customer feedback as part of the way they decide what to publish next. So check them out and have your say. Parting shots. Okay, well, no complaints this time. Let's instead talk about giving away a few games to dedicated listeners. From GMT, we have the new Italy 43 game by Mark Simonich. From Revolution, we have the World War I tactical air game, Eagles in the Sky. And from VUCA, we have Traces of Victory, the latest game in the Traces series. I'll randomly draw for each of these from the pool of entrants sometime before the next podcast comes out. You can't indicate which game you want. You'll be in the drawing for one of the three. So, here's how to enter. Go to pushingcardboard.com and log in. If you've never registered, you'll need to do that before you can log in. Registration is free. It only requires your name, username, password, and an email address so I can get a hold of you. There's more info you can provide if you wish, but it's not required. You log in, and then you go to the podcast menu and select Podcast Surveys. Take the survey for this episode, number 50, and as long as you were logged in before you took the survey, I'll get a record of your name as someone who completed the survey. I would have put the survey button right on the front page, but I didn't want web visitors to stumble across it and enter without listening to the podcast. Anyway, that's all there is to it. Fill out the survey, and you'll go into the drawing. And while you're on the website, if you want to sign up for any of our newsletters, you can do that. There's one that comes out in tandem with each episode of this podcast in order to provide links to the things mentioned. There's one that comes out before each live stream to announce the topic and give you a link to go to the video. And there's one called Events, which I rarely use, but it's for any special notices I may ever need to send out. If you'd like to sign up for any of these, newsletters is under the home menu. It's easy as pie to sign up and easy as pie to unsubscribe if you find that they aren't for you. Okay, that's it. Thanks as always to all the Pushing Cardboard supporters, especially for the great 4 years. Thank you all, whether it's by becoming a Ko-Fi patron or by buying swag. If you want to become a supporter, there's links on the website and in the newsletter for that as well. Also in the newsletter and the website are affiliate links for both Cube for Me and Noble Knight Games if you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about when I promo those every time. So, anyway, thanks as always for listening, and thanks for 4 years. Here's to 4 more.